Hello and welcome to Realty, Texas. We are grateful for the opportunity to serve you. There are a few quick regulatory formalities required before an agent is authorized to assist a buyer in touring a property. Two essential documents are now required to be provided as part of the home buying process. These documents are required by the Texas Real Estate Commission and the National Association of Realtors. Please bear with me as I present these two documents, as we are required to go over them prior to touring a property. The first document is the Information About Brokerage Services form. This form is broken into 6 sections. The first section states the 2 types of real estate license holders in Texas: brokers, who are responsible for overseeing all agent activities, and sales agents, who must work under a sponsoring broker. In this case, Realty Texas is responsible for all brokerage services, and our agent works with clients on behalf of Realty Texas. The second part of the form outlines the broker's minimum duties required by law, such as putting the interests of the client above all others, including the broker's own interests. Inform the client of any material information about the property or transaction received by the broker. Answer the client's questions and present any offer to or counteroffer from the client, and treat all parties to a real estate transaction honestly and fairly. The third section of the form explains that beginning January 1st, 2026, a written agreement is required prior to an agent showing a buyer another broker's listing. All agreements between the client and the broker should be in writing and clearly establish the broker's duties and responsibilities, and the amount of compensation the broker will receive, and how this amount will be determined. The fourth section of the form discusses the various ways a broker represents clients in transactions. A broker becomes the property owner's agent through a signed listing agreement with the owner, owing the minimum duties outlined earlier, and fiduciary duties to the owner. The broker becomes the buyer or tenant agent by agreeing to represent buyer or tenant through a signed broker agreement, owing minimum duties and fiduciary duties to the buyer, as an agent for both, in what's called an intermediary relationship. This requires written agreements and written approval from both parties and involves one agent representing the buyer and another agent working under the same broker to represent the seller, where the agents owe minimum duties and fiduciary duties to their respective party. As mentioned above, the broker is not authorized by law to show a buyer another broker's listing without an agreement in writing from the buyer. That agreement can be in the form of a representation agreement between the buyer and the broker, which is most common, or by signing an unrepresented customer form. If the buyer chooses to be shown the property without representation, the unrepresented customer form must be signed, and it must establish the following: the broker has not agreed with the buyer or tenant, either orally or in writing, to represent the buyer. The broker is not otherwise acting as the buyer-tenant's agent at the time of the showing. The broker does not provide the buyer-tenant opinions or advice regarding the property or real estate transactions. And the broker does not perform any other active real estate brokerage for the buyer-tenant other than opening the door and showing the property. The last section of the form provides the sales agent's contact information, the supervisor for the sales agent's sponsoring broker, and the name and contact information for the firm. The second document is the Buyer Representation Agreement, which establishes a professional relationship between you and Realty Texas. Here's what it means for you. We owe you the highest level of fiduciary duty, including loyalty, confidentiality, and full disclosure. There are no upfront fees and no obligation to purchase a home if we source a property for you. This agreement ensures we represent you exclusively and advocate for your best interests throughout the transaction. Our broker's fee is 3% and is paid to the broker. Many brokers representing a home seller offer cooperative compensation, which means they cover all or part of the buyer broker's fee. In most cases, our buyer client's entire fee is covered by this cooperative compensation. On rare occasions, when the seller declines or is otherwise unwilling to cover the fee, we'll inform you upfront so you can factor this information into the negotiations with the seller. If, prior to going under contract on a home, you wish to cancel this agreement, our manager would be happy to respect your wishes. If a dispute arises, we are happy to work in good faith to resolve any misunderstandings. Your satisfaction is our top priority. Before we can discuss properties in detail or schedule a tour, these documents must be signed. This requirement applies across all real estate brokerages, not just Realty Texas. At Realty Texas, we believe in transparency, advocacy, and exceptional service. These requirements are designed to protect you and ensure you have a trusted advisor by your side. If you ever have questions or concerns, our sales manager is always available to assist. Thank you for choosing Realty Texas. We are both honored and excited to help you achieve your real estate goals.